Previously on the Tales of Hybris.
The first hint of romance around the campfire.
A glimpse of the tragic past of our hero.
A surprising gift with emotional strings attached.
Facing Yuna's fiercest protector and no one cares.
Teenagers on a boat.
And the destructive attack of Sin on Kilika.
Hello everybody, we are the Hybris Collective and welcome to the Tales of Hybris, analyzing video game music as an essential part for storytelling from the perspective of a professional musician
and a music producer. So, today we're going to see how Yuna helps the devastated town of Kilika and its inhabitants to cope with their losses after Sin's attack. Afterwards, she sends the lost souls to the farplane, accompanied by the fittingly named composition The Sending. We will take a dangerous hike through a forest to make our way to the next temple of Yevon. During this hike, the track Calm Before the Storm lulls us in, but also warns us of the dangers to come.
But before we dive right in, if you enjoy what we do here, head on over to patreon.com/Hybris Collective to get some cool stuff. Or help us please YouTube Yevon by leaving some thoughts and comments.
Another thing we noted in the first episode, and forgot to mention ever since, the Tales of Hybris challenge. We will each compose music in the style of Final Fantasy in the future, and we'd be overjoyed to see some of you wonderful people join in on that with the hashtag TOHChallengeFFX.
So, without further ado, let's see what lies in store for us in Kilika.
And its surrounding woods.
So, on today's episode, we are going to explore the remnants of Kilika, are going to go into the next temple, and everything else we'll see where we'll get.
Yeah.
Probably to the next town as well, but let's see. And also, since we're not sure where we stopped filming in the last episode, we're just going to go through this first scene again.
Start with an action banger.
Yes, that's a great idea. That's the hook.
Yeah.
Alright, anyways, so we were on the CSS Leaky.
Yes.
I think CSS Leaky, the ship, and the last thing we did there, we fought Sin. And we tried to steer it away from Kilika, because there were so many families there that they wanted to protect. And in the end, well, it didn't particularly work well. So
let's see the outcome.
Also, the first thing to note already, no music.
Again, yes. For the impact.
Which works really well for the scene. You can basically see everything being sucked into Sin.
Yeah.
And then with this, again, another spiral kind of thing. Everything spiraling around Sin.
I mean, by now this seems to be the established form of destruction, basically, that Sin does, because it looks very similar to Xanarkand, just everything gets sucked into it, basically.
That is true. And we have the Blitzball there, which I think is quite a strong sign as well. Since we talked about the connection of Blitzball and Spear and everything a bit before. Alright, and now we get to the aftermath of the destruction.
When Sin attacked Xanarkand that day, I woke up in Spira. I kept hoping it would work in reverse, too.
With the track by Nakano.
I will defeat Sin.
That we heard before.
I
Wondering.
must defeat Sin.
I was just fooling myself. Maybe it was that day, on the sea, under the burning sun. I started to give up hope.
So really strong monologue
I
from
was in a foreign world.
here.
I wasn't going home. This was my new reality. and I was stuck in it for good.
So basically acceptance that he's stuck in Spira now.
Yeah, together with what it feels like. It feels like Yuna has a renewed conviction by seeing the destruction of this little town, that this is something she has to do.
Yep,
she has to finish this.
Really determined now, again. Especially since she hasn't really seen that much of the destruction, I guess.
I am the summoner Yuna. I have come from the temple in Besaid.
So basically before the next scene and the next cutscene starts, anything to say about wandering right there? I mean, we talked about the whole track before quite a bit.
Yeah. Not really anything new to add from my side.
I mean, nothing really new, but I think like this really melancholic vibe works for a scene like this, especially after destruction. Yeah. Because right before Sin came and destroyed Kilika, there was this, like, the action music, the battle music again, the enemy attack one, which was really stressful. Then back to exactly no music at all. And then to this really melancholic kind of vibe. I really like what the theme does for this scene as well.
That's true. Yeah, I mean, yeah, it really has a nice arc with the ones before it. It comes together nicely, just, yeah, as a tie at the end, tie together. I'm not sure how you phrase that in English.
Yeah, it's fine.
Like a nice end point. I know that word.
Yep. It's just, this is a really good example of what different pieces of music stacked in the right order can do for the storytelling. The thing we talked about before, like what music can really do for the storytelling as well. And I think this is such a great example for this.
Exactly. This is like
action-packed, nothing to have like the impact of just the cutscene and like the destruction with the sound effects and everything. Then to really, really melancholic track to really hit home with the point that they wanted to make.
Yeah.
So I think the choices for the music here, again, great.
Yeah, it works in tandem with like build up, tension, climax, and then the aftermath.
Yeah. In this next scene, Yuna introduces herself.
The Lady Summoner.
And
if
people asking her.
Summoner here, please allow me to perform the sending.
Yuna wants to do the sending, which we're going to talk about in a bit.
Our loved ones. We feared they would become fiends.
So this is also an interesting line with the fiends.
Take me to them.
And we learn a bit more about what a summoner is actually doing and what kind of the duties of a summoner are.
Exactly.
We'll go see what we can do to help in town.
See, this is reaction noises. It's like, all right, sure. And here we get the next theme, which is called The Sending, and is another Umatsu track.
Exactly.
What's a sending? Are we going somewhere?
Clueless Titus again.
You truly are clueless. Are you sure it's just your memory that's the problem?
And Lulu being Lulu again.
The dead need guidance.
But she's kind of nice now. Or nicer.
Nice-ish.
For her character.
Filled with grief over their own death, they refuse to face their fate. They yearn to live on and
I love
resent
this.
those still alive.
Such a great line and concept. Really, really like this.
You see, they envy the living. And in time, that envy turns to anger, even hate. Should these souls remain in Spira, they become fiends that prey on the living.
So basically they have an explanation of why there's enemies all around the place.
Yeah.
Isn't it? The sending takes them to the farplane, where they may rest in peace.
Which
Summoners
shows
do this?
how important summoners are, even aside from just trying to defeat sin.
Exactly.
There's way more to this world than trying to get rid of like the one thing that destroys everything, because there's way more to this. And now we see the next beautiful, beautiful cutscene. Actually, the transition is good.
Yeah.
I only just realized that. we see Yuna walk on water, which is quite the Jesus reference.
I mean, I guess the transition works better in the HD remaster.
Yeah.
Because like the resolution doesn't change as much.
Fair. Fair.
Although, of course, the cutscenes are also in higher resolution in this case.
Are they?
I think so. Pretty sure.
And the next theme.
Yes.
Descending.
Although, as we can already hear, not like a new theme, but just a reimagining
Yes.
of the good old hymn of the faith.
Yes. We'll go into detail in a bit. So here we see Yuna dancing. These coffin-looking kind of things down there.
Mm-hmm.
And we've seen those things before as well. The fireflies, which have a lot of functions in this game. Which we're probably going to, I guess, explain on the way. If we remember what to say.
They will come up as central iconography again, so...
Yep. And I really, really like Tidus's reactions there. Because he's just a mixture of fascinated and like devastated in a way as well. And also here we see this water lift up thing.
You mean like the like a pedestal?
Yeah.
That forms for Yuna.
Which also looks a bit like a flower, as we can see here as well. Which again, stolen from State of the Ark, goes together with the theme of Yuna being portrayed as somehow connected with the hibiscus flower, which is shown here again with these.
Right, yeah.
All right, so much for this scene. Let's move on to Cubase and talk about it, right?
Yeah, sounds like a good plan.
So, I mean, since I don't think I've got too much to say here, I'll just say a little bit of my parts right there.
Yes.
Because first of all, there is no difference between the original and the remake. So this is one of the versions that actually stayed exactly the same.
Okay.
I mean, you can actually see it there already.
Right, yeah.
These look quite different, except for a little thing every now and then, which is just a different audio quality. But if we go, it's exactly the same. So there is no. This is one of the few tracks where there is actually no difference between the remake and the original. And yeah, I mean,
so your job is done.
basically, I got 3 points that are just, yeah, this is cool, this is cool, this is cool.
All right,
let's move on.
Tell me what's cool.
So what I think is cool, okay, you know what, let's just go for it. Sure, why not? So, as you mentioned before, the first thing we hear is that this is actually not completely a new track, because the first thing we hear is the Hymn of Faith, or the Yevon theme, depending on how you want to call it. And we have this, to me, always kind of Buddhist-sounding percussion. This finger percussion kind of thing in the background, which already gives this kind of religious connotation to the whole thing as well. And a bit of this tribal kind of thing. And now we have the piano come in, which I really, really like. This gives such a different flavor to the whole thing.
Absolutely.
I always get goosebumps on this when this comes up. Also, we have these string-ish sounding kind of things that I'm gonna call Erhu again because I don't know better.
Yeah,
but I think that's different.
Yeah, but I also had a really hard time trying to figure out what the string background is composed of.
Yep, because that sounds more like normal strings to me again.
Yeah.
With a few piano chords there. And here at the very end, because another thing that is cool is that we go from quite a big arrangement right there with like 4 voices, probably 2 octave voices or something. Back to
swell and down.
Everything back to one voice.
But still some strings staying underneath.
But everything very soft. A few, not dissonant sounding chords, but flavor chords in the piano. And there, everything getting a bit bigger again. With a little bit of the triangle in the back again. Typically Uematsu. And here, the ending. I love this. This is such a wailing kind of quality. this really sorrowful ending. I really like how well they portrayed the whole scene, just with like this little bit of ending flavor in the instrumentation they chose.
Yeah.
This is so cool. So this must be one of my favorite tracks in a game, I think. Because it fits so perfectly with the scene, and it must have been written exactly for the scene, obviously, but it never comes up again as far as I remember.
Don't think so.
It's exactly for this one scene, and you can really hear that they put so much thought into actually making this work with the scene, with everything they did. So yeah, I guess that's it from my side.
Yeah, okay.
So let's go to like a more educated perspective on the whole thing.
I mean,
Tell me, what is cool?
I'm actually not sure how... I have something to say. I have something to say.
My professional opinion,
Absolutely.
I'm not sure.
Yeah, that's my usual opinion of everything.
Easy way out.
Yeah. I'm never sure. We're on YouTube. Someone's gonna correct me for everything I say.
Good.
No, but like, where to start? One thing I like that I noticed quite a bit later when I got into the track is the shift of the downbeat a little bit.
Oh yeah.
Like just a short explanation, the downbeat is the strongest beat you feel, like in a from 4/4 bar you have the 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Like the 1 is the downbeat.
Yep.
And usually when you hear the hymn of the fayth, you usually obviously hear the first note as the downbeat.
It's 6/4, right? Kind of.
The original one doesn't, at least I don't try to count it in a time.
Yeah.
I think it's a little fluctuant. But this version clearly puts it in a 4/4. In this case, although at the beginning it might not sound like that. But it does that by shifting the downbeat to the first long note. So you don't have the ya da da da, but it starts ya da da da.
Yep. Let's go for the track and see, I'd say.
Downbeat. One. One.
Actually not that easy.
1. Yeah, it doesn't really feel like a 4/4, but it gets stronger here when everything comes in. Because now you have a strong accent on this 1, 2, 3, 4, 1.
Yeah.
And together with the chord changes on every downbeat or every second downbeat, it emphasizes that feeling of like, this is where my 1 is.
And now we have a little bit of a shift, right? Is it here?
It stays.
True.
3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2,
Oh.
3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, and again. Same, it's the same thing that's repeated. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. So yeah.
Right, the accentation kind of changes a little bit on where it goes.
Exactly.
So the 1 is not really, that's what you meant with like changing the downbeat, where the downbeat lies, right?
Or like where you feel it.
Yeah.
I would say. Like if you take the original one, at least for me, it's clearly these groups of exactly da 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 da. One group.
Yep.
Second group. Da 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 da. That's the second one. Then the same.
If you take the original Hymn of the Fayth.
Yeah. The original one, then basically the same structure repeats. So I would feel like the downbeat on every start of every phrase, usually.
And here we have it basically.
But here it's exactly. Because it's 3, 4, down.
Yeah. Interesting.
That's
I
how
wouldn't have counted as a 4/4 because it feels so different. But you're totally right.
It took me some time. But then at some point I realized, okay, but the chord changes happen on a regular basis. This is no odd meter.
Sure.
It's happening. I think it especially gets more, the second part that comes now, feels even more out of that 4/4 feel. Like that phrase is strongly in there, because da da the 1 2 3 4. But this
shift as well. It feels so free flow in a way.
Exactly, and there also one thing is that the held note, the longer note, at the end of the phrase. Let's wait for it. That one, that goes over the downbeat.
Yeah.
So you don't hear it as strongly because it's not reflected in the melody. So here it gets more of a, I don't know what the feeling. Basically, it feels like 4/4 again because yeah, da 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 da. But
maybe counting it like double tempo or something, maybe.
I wouldn't even necessarily say that.
Weirder, right? That would, yeah, that would.
For me, it's just like why it feels a little off in that case is that basically a phrase that really feels like a 4/4 phrase because da 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 da. You have 1 2 3 4 1 2 3 4 5 6 in that case.
Yep.
But because the start of the phrase is in the middle of the bar.
Yeah.
You have 1 2 3 4 1 2 3 4 1 2 3 4.
Chord change. Right.
Exactly. Like every time on every second downbeat, this usually happens.
One thing that would interest me now that I didn't really pay attention to since I didn't count that out, where the percussion actually kind of falls. Because that's always somewhere in the middle, which makes like trying to feel it in 4/4 even harder. I mean, that was probably the intention.
Yeah, but it also, if you go back to the beginning, listen to it again.
Doesn't it fall somewhere in between?
Not really.
Okay, does it?
It doesn't have a super strong feeling of like you don't get the 1 2 3 4 1 2 3 4 kind of groove.
Yeah.
But still, the downbeats are always like accentuated together with the other things.
That's the thing that throws me off. Yeah.
You have a downbeat. Again, the one is
that's
there.
Exactly what I mean. The middle throws you off.
Okay.
Because here, it's kind of an offbeat thing.
Wait a minute.
See what I mean?
I see what you mean.
It's not like, I mean, of course it lies on a beat somewhere. In the middle, on some offbeat or probably...
Yeah, I see what you mean. I think what they're doing here for me, at least, is that the phrases of the percussions are similarly structured to how the chord changes work, in that they usually go over 2 bars.
Yeah.
You have like a 2-bar phrase where from one bar to the next, that part sometimes isn't as obvious where the one is. Because sometimes they play over it, but I think it's almost always at least in some way there. But then after 2 bars, you get a clear,
yeah,
and here we are again. That's my
true.
one again. And that's the same, the chords do the same thing when they change. You always have 2 bars, next one.
That's definitely true. But that's the thing I meant, just that it always lies somewhere a little bit in between. So it was hard for me to actually like accently, to follow the accents when I tried. So I don't think I ever tried to count that out because it was, yeah, that's free flow. And no, it isn't.
Yeah, I was interested because when I listened to it and I realized, okay, yeah, they have the percussion in the background, they have the chord changes. I thought like, okay, either they fully structured it around the melody, which would also be possible. And if you listen to it now, it of course sounds like it's structured around the melody because now the melody works in this framework as well. It's just that the accentuations are different, but still, it also works in 4/4. So that was the one thing, the way like counting it. So it's always 4/4, but still can feel differently in between. Then, of course, yeah, we have the percussion incoming, which is nice. Then we have like the build-up throughout the whole track. I think is really, really well done. Yes. And it's like it's not a complicated build-up, but it's a very effective one.
Yeah.
I would say, whereas like you have the solo voice, you have percussion incoming pretty soon after. Then there's the low male voice coming together with the boy's voice. I'm pretty sure it's a boy's voice because I think most of the solo hymns, the high parts are not sung by women, but
basically first part again.
Exactly.
Percussion coming in. That's, yeah, probably in boys' voice.
Think so.
I can't tell. I really can't. It's hard for me to differentiate between boy's voice and a woman singing.
Definitely can be, but since the original,
right?
version of the Hymn of the Faith is sung by a solo boy,
Yeah, then
I'm guessing that one's gonna be one too.
and here we have the male voices come in.
And already the piano, male voices already came in.
Really? I missed that.
Yeah, a little before. Or is it all together? Oh no, it's only one bar before the chords come in. You're basically right. Because that's still only the boys.
Oh yeah, here.
And now everything else comes in. So here we have the... here, yeah, we can go into the chords a little bit.
Sure.
Here. Because they're actually pretty nice.
Playing to me like I'm 5. Because in music theory terms I am.
Basically, the fundamental structure that's happening here is not complicated. On the lowest level, I'd say what's happening is basically a bass line that moves downwards all the time. So if we keep it running, a little bit back just before the thing sets in. There we go. So now we have a G. That's a G minor 7. Then we go a step down to the F. That's an F major 9.
Interesting.
Then we go to an E. E minor 9. And down to a D.
Interesting.
And that's also, then we're basically almost out of harmonization again. Like afterwards, it doesn't really have that strong of a chord structure. It stays more on the, and I think they're staying on the D, because D is the, if we remember, the original Hymn of the Faith was in D Dorian.
Mm-hmm.
The whole thing with the da 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 da.
All right.
With the major 6th, that whole thing. So it starts off 4th higher on the G, basically with the chords, the G minor, and then moves down step by step until we land finally on the D minor, where we want to go, where we feel like the whole track is rooted.
Can you play the chords on top of that?
Sure thing.
That would be interesting
For now,
me.
because it might be a little difficult, I'm going to do the triads.
Yeah.
Like the full chords are more complex.
I mean, we can try and put them in editing magic.
Something like
That's
that. But for
fun.
now, let's do the triads. They still show the most important part.
Yep. Oh.
That's what cutting's for.
Yes.
G minor.
Mm-hmm.
F major.
Major. Interesting.
E minor.
Clearly hear that one.
And the D. But in that case, at least as I hear it, they don't land on the D minor. Like they don't land here. But they land on the D sus4.
Okay.
Together with the 6th in that case.
Which would be the ending of this part, right? That's the last chord.
Yeah, exactly. Now we're on the E minor.
Mm-hmm. Can you play them separately?
How do you mean
The
separately?
keys. Just the keys. Interesting. Let me hear that again. Cool.
At least for me, it's more that sound than that sound.
Let me listen to it again. Yeah, you're right. Interesting. Also, what was pretty cool in there was the major chord that sounded so I didn't have that one in my head when I heard that.
Yeah,
Was
yeah.
it a second chord? Third chord?
I think it's the second one. Yeah, we started the G minor. The second one, that's the major one.
That's the one that
The F
felt so
major.
different for me.
It's actually with the 9 in there and the 11. So we basically have that chord, basically.
That's pretty. That's pretty.
And like what the piano under it actually plays is the... Are we there? Yes. But you have the... That one underneath it.
Cool. I like it even more. I should actually get more into music theory.
So yeah, basically, yeah, what they're doing is you have this step down, and I just like how it tends to gravitate towards this D at the end, just by starting up there and always moving down and down, and then you end up where you basically want to be.
What's the bass movement again?
Easy, it's just the G, F, E, D.
Oh, okay, it just moves down the scale.
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
That's under there. And yeah, you have some nice like extensions to the chords that just add flavor to the sound, so you get this very rich, very full sound that the whole thing has, especially together with the whole string background that's in there that does a lot of the chords actually, because the piano often goes away again and only has like puts one chord in, then it's out again, a short figure. Sometimes the piano doesn't even play the chord, like especially, for example, with where the E minor is.
Which is where?
That's
after
the third chord.
Oh, like in this sequence here already. That's the second one probably?
That's the F. And then we are there. But here I have the...
Okay, wait.
There's that movement in the piano.
Cool.
These kind of little things. And the piano has these little movements all the time. Then it's out again because we're back down to here. And then there's this short thing coming in. There we are again. Just a little one. Yeah, these arpeggios. Even simpler, just the main melody together.
Basically hitting home the melody. And
Yeah, and
then the extensions again.
Yeah,
Whoa,
and then some
okay.
chords again.
Another thing that I didn't even realize. This track is even better now.
Yeah, I like the piano part for that one. I think that's really well done. Just, yeah, on the right. Always, usually, if the piano has any like dense, heavy chords to play, it's always on the downbeat to just, underline that one even more. Like, here's our one now. You get the new harmonic information and everything right here. And then it can go back out again because the strings are going to stay there. And then the piano is just there for basically fills or short motifs.
Yeah.
It's more than fills. Because, I don't know, like, for example, in the G minor, what the piano should be playing, if I heard it right, was that's basically that's the piano entrance. Like, we can go back there just to check it, but I think I should have that right.
Basically, when it comes in after the choir.
Yeah. Later.
Should be here?
Yeah. Exactly. Then we have the thing from before.
This is so cool.
I really like that one.
Oh wait, that's another callback to the hymn again.
To what?
To the hymn. I mean, obviously, kind of it makes sense in this context, but that's just came like to mind again.
Yeah, you're right.
I was just waiting if it came again in like a different tempo, because if they moved on with I was just waiting if they did that, because that would have been. But this is just a little bit of a callback as well. I think.
That's cool. More of a tease in a way.
Yeah. Because that's why I just wanted to hear if it like finishes the phrase in a way.
And in that case, it doesn't. And yeah, then of course, as we already said, it gets stripped down again. Piano's almost fully out in the end. The piano mostly just in the end, it's back to just. And then on the end we have those three. I'm not 100% sure if I heard them right, but I think it's just which sounds so weird if it's out of context.
Yep, it does. Oh, yep.
And I think it's there.
Yep, I think so too. This sounds so weird out of context with so... Yeah.
You had these triads.
It's so interesting to just use the very last two chords and not more than that. Because usually like thinking of 4-bar phrases or 4 chords in a phrase or something, they just use the last two.
Yeah.
Interesting choice. There's so many things that seem like kind of a random choice in a way to make a different flavor, which I really enjoy. Or let's say random choice would be something, probably not really random, but something that wouldn't come to my mind as immediately. That's what I basically wanted to say. Because it's not random at all. It's completely like thought out.
Yeah, this all seems very intentional. It's just basically, I think it's one of those, all arrangement, everything you do in music basically boils down to your aesthetic, not values, but your ability to judge aesthetic in a way. Like in the end, I think for me, at least from where I come from, in the end, it all boils down to taste.
Yeah, of course.
What enables you to make better art in general, I think, is a refinement of taste.
Yeah.
Because you learn just by involving yourself in any art form, basically.
Yeah.
You just get better at discerning, I think this is good, I think this is not as good, and at the beginning you have absolutely no idea why. It just feels like, I don't know, I like this, I don't like this, and when you get further into it, you start to, okay, I think I like things that have these elements, I think I like to have things that have these elements. And in the end you can, especially when it's about creating art, not necessarily performing, but creating art is about, you can have all the techniques and whatever you want in the world. In the end, it's always going to come down to the last judgment is always going to be, do I think this is good? Yes, I think this is at least okay. Most people I know that create things often don't like their own things, or at least they like them for some time, then they start to hate them, and then they're fine in the end.
Yeah.
But it's
creative
done.
Process.
Let's go on to the next thing, because I can't see that one anymore.
Yeah, I feel that.
And I mean, often it's a good idea to just move on. It's not necessary. That's something that I do way too much, to like stick on one thing and maybe it's not ready. Let's just do it again and again and again and again, and then never gets finished, and then it lands in some drawer, and there you go.
This is exactly what I do.
Another one for the folder.
Start a million different projects that never finish one.
There you go.
Perfect.
Artistic process. But yeah, in that case, what I wanted to say after this weird tangent is that basically it's just such a tasteful arrangement.
Oh yeah.
I think it's just, even with things like, although a part of me is never going to be sure if it isn't really, but I don't think so. That doesn't sound right. I think it's really the move up to the G.
I think I heard that too, yeah.
And things like that, it's just, after some, maybe if you, as you said, if you take them out of context, does not sound like it should belong in that song.
Not at all. It sounds like a pop thing, like the go-to pop thing.
Something like that. Like, just try it, moving up, it's fine. But since it's all happening over still the D, basically you get the...
Did I play the D?
It's fine, I think. I can contort.
Sure.
And now this one sounds totally different.
Oh, yeah.
Because now basically what it does is more evoke the feeling of that you have. That would be your chord, basically. So it again underlines the, because at the beginning we said the end of the chord phrase is we end on the D. We end on this D sus, which the sus means. Did I explain what a sus means?
Don't ask me.
Anyways,
we haven't edited these episodes yet.
That's true. Like in a sus mean, like a suspended chord means that usually you have a triad in your chord. In the D minor case, it would be the F, triad, and fifth, third. And if you omit or leave out the third and replace it with the fourth, for example, that's a sus4, suspended 4. Suspended usually because it comes, as far as I think that's where the word comes from. I didn't look that up, but I think so. It means suspended.
Idle cards.
Exactly. It means suspended because you wait for it to resolve to the third. Like that's how I would use in the classical way. You usually have things like the fourth, sixth. Where I have you before you want to go to that chord. You'd start by playing instead of the third and the fifth, you play the fourth and the sixth. And then that's something, especially in classical music, you hear a lot. Especially to finish parts or finish any movement.
Interesting.
So basically when you say you have a suspended chord, it's just you do the same thing of replacing the third with the 4. But within that chord, as it stands here, you don't plan to resolve it. That's just the sound. It's a sound that most people will very likely know from musicals, maybe? Because musicals use those a lot, like sus2s. The sus2 sound would be... or that's the sus4 sound. And there's a lot of musicals that have, I don't know, just starting with... then at some point it's going to be the...
yeah.
These kind of things. So I think the sound, for most people I know at least, the sus sound is most recognizable in musical, although usually you don't hear it if you don't know it, of course. But yeah, so this basically means when we have what we have in the end, the G major triad over the D, we again, because we have the G as a bass note, that's the sus4 of our D minor. Then we also said we have a sus4 with a 6 at the end. With that sound, that's the 6th. That's our Dorian note.
Ah, that thing
Again. So that's also in here. And then basically the D's the root note again. So within that sus4 6th chord, the G basically fits perfectly. Although it sounds, and the F of course too, because the F basically is just an upper structure of the D. Upper structure is when you like start thinking about chords in, basically you have, I don't know, a D minor down here, and then you can think about, okay, if I start to expand that D minor, we have the 7, we have the 9, we have that's the 11. Then you can also say like, okay, so basically we have a D minor and the upper structure is a C major.
Ah, yeah.
So I'm just doing placing a chord on top of a chord, which comes out of jazz music theory. The whole thing, it's used for more complex things usually than just a D minor 6/11 or something like that. But it can make it easier to think about certain, if like chord movements start to become very complex and the chord structures start to become very complex, sometimes it can be easier to just think, okay, so basically what interests me is that top part because these are the chord extensions and I want to play around those. So I think more about the C major up top than I do about the D minor in the bottom.
So it's basically because it's easier to read and basically like easier to conceptualize them?
Mainly, yeah.
I see.
And just some, especially sometimes easier to read, because sometimes, if you put a lot of extensions in the chord and you want to write them all down, it can start to look weird.
I can imagine.
Okay, we have a chord slash, and that's the upper structure chord. There you go.
So it's not just
that's not just a slash chord.
Because slash chord is just basically with the bass note.
Exactly, where different bass notes is like if you see a D over A, then it's that sound.
Okay.
I have the A in the bass.
Okay, I see.
That's a slash chord. That's all it is. But yeah, that's not necessarily, you wouldn't call that upper structure. Because you wouldn't say like, I'm taking a bass note and then that's my upper structure chord with the bass note.
I see.
It's only when there's already a chord under there. That's one of the ways to use that concept. Upper structure is like, that's the level of jazz improvisation I never got into, where people like start to really on with those things. Where it can get really weird, like the inside-outside playing and all that stuff. Who's interested, look it up. It's a weird world.
I mean, I would be interested, but I don't know anything, so I should start at basics.
yeah, basically, like, who can cut it out? I'm just gonna put it in there.
Yep.
Inside-outside playing is basically, inside means you play within the confinements, if you want to call it that, of the tonality of a piece. So like if the piece is in A, or that solo part I'm playing is basically in A, I'm gonna stay somewhere around A usually. And playing outside means you play notes that for the most part or fully do not belong to that tonality.
Yeah.
So it's what makes it really difficult to use is that if you want to use it in a way that makes sense on a musical level, you basically try to, that's what my colleagues back then told me. As said, I never got into that. You start to like improvise the solo within the key, and then you try to like include more and more notes that don't belong until you start to play fully outside of the key. But ideally, it still makes some kind of sense. So you have to develop it in a way to like take the listener with you to like, okay, we're adding these new notes and these new notes and these new notes, and all of them gonna sound weird, but at some point I'm gonna establish basically my own kind of tonality up there, and I'm gonna play in that, and then I'm trying to move back into it maybe at the end.
This must need so much brain power. Damn.
It's really like, it's a pretty common thing in like modern jazz fusion and all that kind of stuff, but it's really advanced. Like,
I see.
Yes, that's a level I only know how it works on a little bit on a theoretical level, but I can't even play a good normal jazz solo. So
That's such an easy jazz meme thing. Just play the right notes.
or just play nothing. No right notes, basically, in that case.
Yeah.
You want to use everything that's not in there.
Fascinating.
But it's an absolutely fascinating concept, but weird. And yeah, that's where upper structures sometimes get used. Because people start to think in these kind of, I'm building these upper structures to that chord. And then I'm thinking in that tonality.
Interesting. I learned something more today.
Yeah.
Hey. All right. We've talked way too much about this. Where were we?
We were still at the sending. We were talking about there is a lot of taste to this.
Okay, I think we got that one. So let's move on in the next scene, I guess, because there's a few things coming on that are quite interesting here now. So that's the end of Yuna's dance. Now we get to know Luna's character a bit more, actually.
It must be tough.
That's true.
Being a summoner.
Yuna chose her own path. She knew from the beginning what it meant. All we can do is protect her along the way. Until the end.
Until the end? What's the end?
The ominous silence.
Everybody, like, don't talk about this. Whatever this means.
Until she defeats sin.
And also, this is the point where Lulu moves away. I'm
Oh.
kind of pissed at Titus again. Ow.
I hope
Reaction noises.
I hope I did okay.
You did very well. They've reached
Lulu
the
being like the-
farplane by now, but no tears next time.
I wished
Lulu acting
there
like the
would
big sister.
never be a next time. No more people being killed by sin. No more sendings for Yuna. Everyone stood there
Another-
watching her. It was
Another
strange.
inner monologue I really
and
like.
somehow horrifying. I never wanted to see it again.
So yeah, another introduction into the world of what the whole sin complex basically entails. And Tidus not knowing anything and being, again, playing the fool's character, basically explaining the whole world to us because he doesn't know anything. Because we also don't know anything when we play this for the first time.
Yeah.
So he's the one asking the questions we have in mind.
Yeah, I just realized shortly that I just love the tidbit of there's sometimes you call those kinds of characters fish out of water characters. Because it's like, yeah, someone thrown into a new world and yeah, the reader, watcher, whatever is gonna learn about that world through that character because yeah, they don't know anything. It's like, I don't know, Harry Potter basically does the same thing, for example, or a lot of books where it's always like, your protagonist doesn't know nothing about this new thing we're going to throw into. So you can learn together with him about everything. I just love that he literally kind of starts like a fish out of water in that game.
I've never heard that before.
Transported, and I'm not sure if it's like an official term for it. It's just something that I've heard thrown around.
Yeah, but it makes a really cool context. I like that.
And yeah, I just found it funny that in that case he literally just wakes up in the middle of the ocean, basically.
And also kind of starts off in the water with Blitzball game and stuff. All right, and now we have one of the favorite lines of dialogue because just look at it. When I grow up, I want to be a Blitzball. All right, sure, kid. I think it should be in there anyway. So we wake up in basically like, I don't know where we actually slept.
Somewhere beneath the stars, most likely.
There we go. I'm gonna be a Blitzball when I grow up. Sure, kid. You can be anything you want to be. Reach for the stars.
Hey, you awake? Captain Walker's waiting for you.
So it's the Aurochs that are basically helping building everything up again. And we have another little
there you
tidbit
are.
about Blitzball here.
Be said, Aurochs, huddle! On to the temple, where we pray for victory. Go! High Summoner O'Holland used to live in the Kilika temple here. Yep. Lord O'Holland was once a great blitzer, you know.
Waka,
We learn about another High Summoner.
praying for victories.
In that case,
good. But
even more underlying that connection that State of the Ark made for sports as religion.
Yeah.
Like the summoner is also like a big Blitzball player.
And especially since we've heard like, I think there's been like 4 or 3 High Summoners that in the Bisei temple, one of the monks said that. I think there were 4 High Summoners before or something like that. Really not a lot. And one of them being a sports star, basically. That's another really strong connection there.
Yeah.
True. And yeah, Tidus again is like, dude, we shouldn't be like praying for Blitzball victory in a place like this where everything is destroyed. Why? He doesn't understand it at all. But Walker's like, this is exactly the right moment.
Something wrong with enjoying Blitzball?
First of all,
is this
that.
really the time?
This is the only time. The players fight with all their strength. The fans cheer for their favorite team. They forget pain, suffering. Only the game matters. That's why Blitz has been
We'll
around
learn more
for so
about that
long. At least that's
in the
what I
next
think.
city.
Whatever you say.
Let's play.
And Tidus just
And
thinking
win.
he's stupid. In a way.
Right.
And Walker being
Temple's
the
beyond
bro,
the jungle there. Let's go.
trying to cheer us up basically again. It's like, don't think about it.
Yeah.
Just go.
Keep going.
Let's just win everything.
Yeah. It's gonna be fine.
Then saving this little girl, which we can actually miss.
Whoa!
Which is the sister of one of the Blitzball players, actually.
Really?
Yep. One of the Kilika beasts.
Okay. I definitely saved her at least in one playthrough, but to catch up later, I guess.
Yeah, I think you go into like this hut or something and you get an item for that. A little thingy. All right, so here we move into Kilika Forest with our next theme, which is called, I forgot. It's not what it's called. Calm Before the Storm.
Yes.
So let's go through the scene a little bit.
Yuna's saying she wants you with us.
Huh?
I want to ask you to be my guardian.
You know what? There's no time for jokes, yeah? He may be a blitzball whiz kid, but up against fiends, he's a newbie.
Not a guardian, then. I just want him nearby.
What?
I love his reaction. Like,
What do you mean?
It's just that... Well,
We're all going to the temple anyway. Can't this wait till later?
I'm sorry. I shouldn't have...
There's nothing to be sorry about.
really like his reaction
I'm
too.
just not really sure what's going on.
My apologies.
So he's basically taking away like the tension of the situation again.
Yeah.
Because all the others basically aren't really stoked about Titus becoming a guardian. Especially Walker's like, what? Why? How?
I mean, and I can't say I blame them.
No,
because
not at all.
basically the only thing that Yuna has for having that level of trust is her gut feel. I
Yeah,
guess.
and basically somebody who has the same name
yeah.
that came at the same time. So yeah, I'm talking about Xanarkand, so it's a weird kind of trust that we don't know where it actually came from.
Because she takes like very little evidence, quote unquote, seems to be enough for her to be like, oh, fine, yes, nice. I know you're a daddy, you're cool.
Yeah, especially, I mean, I don't know how common the name Jack is in Spira, but I mean, none of the names is actually something that would be, quote unquote, like normal in our world. Maybe Lulu, that would be like the most normal one. But yeah, maybe Jack is like not the most special name, then it would be even weirder.
Possibly, like, they're Peter, something like that.
Yeah. Jack Griffin. All right. Anyways, so throughout Kilika Forest, we have a little bit of game footage right here. When we move through this forest right there, we have this next theme playing, which is called Calm Before the Storm.
Mm-hmm.
So I'd say let's listen through it a little bit.
Yep.
Want to start up with the original or the remake?
Whatever you want. The remake's basically new for me.
I see. Then let's start off with the original first. So anything I can say already there. Basically, again, Japanese name is basically the same for this, so there's no big difference.
Mm-hmm.
In the Japanese, it's called Arashi no Mae no Shizuke-san, which basically means calm before the storm, stillness before the storm, something like that.
Okay.
So it's actually just a direct translation, so nothing to be really noted there. And yeah, let's start off with the original then. A really chill, mysterious kind of vibe. Left and right guitars.
Yeah.
Right one.
Again, this guitar harpsichord
Yeah.
kind of mixed sound.
The first melody coming in.
One thing I want to note out already, because that's where you can hear it so nicely. I really like the what? No, that's what note was
Should I
it?
stop?
Keep it running. I have to think anyway.
All right. Should I talk over it?
You can talk over it.
All right. So this is another one from Uematsu where you can actually hear the strong melody there again. It's kind of a weird one, but it's got a strong melody again. Which is something that gets stuck in your head a little bit again.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I would say this is another strong melody, which is not a surprise. It's not like a repeating figure with like consisting of 4 notes or something. This is a whole melody again. And we have this really cool mellotron sound again on the left side here. I really like this in the original soundtrack. And the bass, the upright bass, which I think is pretty cool as well. And we go to the next part with a little guitar break. Even though these melodies are so simple again.
Yeah, very effective.
So beautiful as well. It's so relaxed in a way.
Yeah, they really are.
And here we have it doubled up with strings and some kind of bell sound.
Yeah.
And these weird tension chords in the middle. A little
You
bit.
mean the flutes?
Yep. Something like that. With just a little bit of tension in there. I really like that. It's something I really can learn a lot from.
Yeah, there's not a lot. Like some short tension chord release. It's like this little tension release thing going on within the melody, which you don't necessarily notice too much.
And here in the second run, you have the mellotron even clearer on the left side.
That's where I really realized that it's even there fully. I love it.
This is such a cool sound.
Yeah.
This is one of my favorite things about all the original tracks. And then, do you want to say something about the melody and chords and stuff now? Or should I go to the remake and you do that later?
Go to the remake first.
All right, then let's start off already with the beginning with the remake. Come on, say sentences. Let's try this again.
Breathe.
That's a mixture of not sleeping a lot and coffee.
Yeah.
Yay! Anyways, so let's talk real sentences. The thing I wanted to say is because I was hyped for this, okay?
It's okay.
Because the remake...
Bring grammar to the hype.
I'm trying, okay? This is hard. No, it's not. Anyways, what I wanted to say... why I was so hyped right now and couldn't say sentences was because in the remake, you already have 12 string.
Oh, yeah.
I love the sound of 12 strings, and I don't know why. I mean, they probably didn't want to put it in the original there for some reason, because they probably had it before a few times. But we have the same thing going on, and one thing that I only heard yesterday, which is kind of fun. Listen to the left and right guitars. Mm-hmm. And now? Isn't it turned around?
Oh, maybe.
Oh no, it's moving.
Yeah. It always looks so derpy when we listen to these kinds of things because both of us like that. Yeah, I can hear it.
Opportunity for meme zooms, I guess. Okay. It's on the right side. Mm-hmm. Basically the chord. Okay, no, actually they're moving. I was wrong. Because they're going left, right in opposite directions. Interesting.
Yeah, but it's a subtle movement.
Yeah, totally is.
It's like not fully going left, right or anything.
I think it's somewhere here and then back out again.
But it's an interesting effect.
I heard it wrong yesterday. But yeah, the melody is way more, not really subtle, but taken back. If we go back to the original. Probably because of the sound, it's a bit stronger. The rest is quite similar then. And there I have two things that I wanted to note. Let's see what I wanted to note. So first of all, we have basically an electric bass.
Yeah.
Instead of the upright bass we had before.
In comparison, in that case, the original kind of sounds like a lo-fi remix.
Yes, it does. It totally does. This is so much more sparkly.
Yeah, this is like the hi-fi version with all the...
Yep, totally is all the sparkle there. But I think I do like... I really like that. I like the sound of the upright bass there, but they changed it for a way more present.
Yeah. That is way more... Yeah.
And the weird thing is, it drops out here. If you listen to this...
Oh, right.
It goes back like...
That's an interesting cutoff.
To me, it sounds like, all right, they just didn't bother to change the MIDI note that they had here because it just fades out anyway, so yeah, that's fine. half note is totally fine. Because it fades out like this, but here's like... Okay, sure, you could do that. It was just funny to me.
If that was a conscious choice, I would really like to know the thought process behind it.
Me too.
Someone was like, yes, we don't need that bass here.
I mean, it sounds goofier, which could be kind of the intention for this as well.
Maybe you think
No,
they're
probably not.
goofy?
I'm talking now. I don't know what I'm saying. Okay, I have another note here. What is it here? Oh, it's another one of these dropping out. And they're actually with...
Right, yeah, there you hear the...
Basically the right hand stopping it. And in the original, it's still...
Oh yeah, they repeat it in the octave.
Yep. So it's just fading out. And they have to stop there, which I think is kind of cool. It just works with the whole thing quite good. And as we said before, the mellotron, I really, really like the mellotron. I think, especially the later ones, right there. When it comes in there a bit stronger again. It's got such a cool vibe. I really like the vibe that the mellotron can bring to the whole thing.
Yeah, it's such a unique sound that somewhat detuned, but not really. I don't know, it's just very, very, I love it.
Also here we have the mellotron, and the other thing is a string arrangement here.
Yeah.
Which sounds way broader, but then also kind of stuff like that. Such a strong tension. The tension feels, at least right now, let's check the original, but it feels stronger in the remake to me. Yep, because you can't hear it as clearly. It's still there, but way further back.
Sure.
If we go back to the remake, because on the remake, it's just everywhere, basically. See? And we also have the kind of lo-fi-ish flutes on the left side still.
Yeah.
So which one do you prefer? Original music guy.
I guess in that case I would have to say maybe the remake does the job better. Like in a way the walking through the forest and that whole feeling, it has this little bit of a fairy tale feeling to me. And I think that's more prevalent in the remake.
Definitely is.
But the original has a kind of charm that I don't find in the remake.
I get it.
It's just, but I think that might be some kind of very weird nostalgia because I shouldn't have any. Because I never had a synth or did anything with synth sounds before.
Yeah.
But I don't know, it's just mainly the mellotron. I'm not sure, but it's especially direct comparison. It like just has this. Yeah, it just feels like the lo-fi remix. Can't help it.
I mean, I think that fits. It's hard for me to say because I think my notes said that I really prefer the remake. But to be honest, right now, thinking about walking through Kilika Forest, I mean, this theme comes up a few more times in the game. And here, walking through Kilika Forest, I think I do like the original a bit more.
Okay.
Because it does feel way more in your face, way more fairy tale, as you said as well. But I don't think that Kilika Forest is that much of a fairy tale kind of vibe, because the water also looks kind of dirty-ish. It's more like a jungle kind of vibe. And this sounds a bit too pretty. This has a bit more of like, let's say, the dirty vibe.
Yeah, no, I see what you're talking about. I can hear it. I can also see the preference.
But it's hard for me to say as well, because I think, as I said, my notes, I think say it the other way around. But yeah, so you wanted to say something about melody and harmony, right?
Yeah, some little notes there. So what you could do for me is go back to the beginning.
I guess original, as always.
Yes, always.
I don't even know why I'm asking. All right.
All right. So first thing I like. You hear it? The little melody in the. I'm gonna play it along.
I don't think I hear that.
starts there, right?
Wait. No? Which instrument is it?
It's also in the guitar. It's both.
How many guitars do you hear?
I think there's 2.
Okay, yeah, I hear both of them.
And there's one line. More on the right side.
Oh, yeah. There's something in there. Okay, that's really far back.
It's really far, and
It's like a harp or something to me.
something like that. I think both of those are like this guitar, harpsichord, some kind of mixture.
Yeah.
He often uses, which I guess should be a 12 string. I think we said at some point, something like that.
Yep.
Similar sound, but yeah, it's just I don't know. It's
Cool.
I like it, just going on there in the background for the whole thing. So yeah, that was the first thing that I recognized. Of course, yeah, the beginning is for chord-wise pretty easy. It's always
Should I go back to the beginning? It's the same thing anyways, right?
it's the same, yeah. We have the B minor, and now it changes, I think, to the the C. Back, B minor. Then the E flat, and then we go down a little bit.
Mhm.
But yeah, that's like the first round.
Yep.
And what I like here is now we're in B major.
Oh, so it started off in B minor?
Yes.
Oh,
We're going to B major for this part,
cool.
which is also highlighted through the melody starting on the, which is the third, the major third in that case. So it really underlines this switch from minor to major.
Interesting.
Then we go back. I'm just gonna let it run a little bit.
I'm just vibing.
Yeah. And now we're back to here. And what I really like, I think now I'm gonna need a short break. Because otherwise this might get confusing while talking over the music.
Sure.
Which is the main melody that's going on. Which is this... Sorry. Yeah. That's like our main theme. Or like basically the second theme that comes up in the song.
Which one would be the first one?
If you go back to the start.
The one you talked about?
No. That's just the intro basically. With just this little motif.
I hear this.
Also there.
That was bad.
That's a different melody.
True. Which one is the second one?
Second one is...
The first one? Not here?
Coming in soon.
Yeah, second one?
The second one is...
Completely different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If I ever find that.
Well.
But yeah, so we basically the whole piece consists of 3 melodies.
Mhm.
They come one after another. What I like about this one is the first one is very much, how do I say it, in tune. Like there's no real
Oh yeah.
sharp or dissonant notes in there. It's just very, very relaxed, very in
Basically
there
in-
tonally.
In key, basically.
Yeah.
I guess. That's a music theory term one would use. Probably not.
Something like that. Not that important. But then, when we get to the second one, the part that I really like is basically we are in this B minor.
Mhm.
Which I'm gonna play it down here. And then we have this sound.
Interesting. What is this? That's the
major 7.
Mm-hmm.
Like usually with a minor chord you have the minor 7.
Mm-hmm.
That's the more used sound that you find more commonplace. But of course you can also do that one.
Yeah.
Which is just
way stronger.
Yeah. It's just basically accentuated in the melody with it going up there.
F.
Yep. And then that white one. So it's like, I like how, this might be overinterpretation, but
go for it.
This calm before the storm, I kind of like how from the first melody that's very much inky, no really dissonant notes in there, it goes on to the second one, which is not outrageously out of tune or anything, but it starts sprinkling in these.
Oh, so basically the first melody is the calm, the second one is in the storm.
That might be a little much for like one note, but just this adding of a little more tension in the harmony and in the melody, for me, fits the theme of the song in a way. It's just, you can feel something's gonna happen. As you usually say when there's like calm before the storm, it's like this electrified energy, this, okay, now it's cool, but I can already see in the near future, okay, something's brewing on the horizon.
Interesting. So would you have had this connection without the song title, the composition title?
Probably not.
Because I wouldn't either.
I don't think so. Like, but that's often the case for me. Like, I often go after, like, especially when we're talking about music that is written for certain scenarios and with certain story elements or whatever happenings in mind.
Yeah.
Events, maybe the better word.
Happenings.
Then I always tend to look at the title and what's happening in music to see if there, because of course I can't even say if the title was there before and then the piece of music happened or other way around, and it was just like, I think I'm gonna call that Calm Before the Storm, and since we're here in that part of the story, this might fit here in that case, even with the title. Also, I'm never sure with, especially in video game music and development, whether there are any thoughts given to the titles fitting into where the song is in the story, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Like whether Calm Before the Storm is a good title for where the song is within the game, or if it's more like I wrote this piece of music, I think it sounds something like that, and it's more like a hint or something like that for
probably
designers that need to put music in places.
What is the Japanese name of this again? Okay, it's basically the same.
Okay.
It's basically the same. So it's Arashi no Amai no Shizuke-san, which basically means calm before the storm or stillness before the storm, something like that. So basically pretty much exactly the same.
Yeah, that seems
because I really wanted to check that now.
Yeah, that would have been interesting if that was very different.
That would be... Yeah, that would have completely thrown off the interpretation.
100%. Would have proved me wrong right there. But yeah, so that's the first development I like in the song. And then I also see the third melody with going to the major sound in general, because before we were in B minor.
Which one is the third melody again?
That's the one.
Ah, yeah. F.
Again, yes.
I helped.
Mm-hmm. Because especially by accentuating this major sound by having the melodies start on this.
And hammering like twice on that as well.
Yeah.
Da, da, da. Yeah.
So this is like back to, right now I tried to find out where this would fit in my theory. I'm not 100% sure where I would put it, because
Don't ask me.
that then would be the brightest part, basically, of the whole piece. Because we're going to a major sound. Again, the melody doesn't really have any really dissonant tones or anything in there. It's very mellow. I wouldn't say cheerful, but just like relaxed in a way.
True.
There's not lots. Yeah, no fast movements. It's just these mostly quarter notes that are moving along. So, yeah, that begs the question, what would that be within the calm before the storm?
Calm after the
I
storm.
guess maybe. It's all in one piece.
Can't be all storm. I don't know. It's your theory.
I know. I thought maybe.
My creativity juices are not flowing yet.
Works. But yeah, so, yeah, what I really like is this sound, using this sound in the second melody.
This is such a Mario Kart vibe.
Really? That sound?
Yeah, I don't know why. This is like I think this is an old school Rainbow Road thingy. Super Nintendo one. Da, 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 da.
Mario Kart has been too long back from two way back.
I love this one. I love this one. I'll try to learn it on bass. That's what I have it in mind. Anyways, go on. Everything sounds like Mario in some way.
So yeah, basically I'm looking at my notes right now. Oh yeah, one thing as well. We have... Exactly. If we can look for it, the second melody as well.
Oops. Guessing around here? Nope.
A little earlier. Yeah, there we are. So that's that. Again. There we have in the C minor. Yeah, now we go to C minor. Then back to the... And now comes the one... Almost.
Yeah.
There we go back.
A lot of chromatic stuff.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's why the melody sounds so dense and why these... But also that's why the minor major sound, which now that one is not as jarring a thing in that case, because it's basically a note you pass through with a melody. Because there's so many chromatic movements in there, it's not really something that sticks out, but more something that just creates a sound, but not in a way of like, oh my god, this, because this like minor major 7 sound can be very jarring because you're usually not used to it. But I'm trying to find something right now. Give me a second.
I'm vibing.
That's the minor accompaniment.
Should I pay attention again?
No.
All right. What the fuck am I doing? Good thing you're not looking.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, I know why I'm not finding it. I need the first melody.
Sure, let's go back to the first melody then. Which I think is here. Yep. Okay, go back to the beginning.
So yeah, we start out with again, same chords as in the second melody, mainly. B minor, E flat, major. Back again. And again, melody very nice. And then now it starts to change. We have the C minor.
Ooh.
That one. And now comes the interesting. And that's the one I want to talk about. Because what we have here, pause for a little bit. second, because I'm not going to be able to play along in time.
That's fine.
So we have this C minor part. That's that sound, the D flat major, major 7 in that case.
I love major 7, apparently.
Yeah, it's a nice sound. So it's just a half step up. And now the melody, so like the major 7 sound of this chord is accentuated by the melody, having that as the last note, which is the C. The C is the major 7 of D flat. And then we do a chord-wise pretty jarring jump down to the A minor.
Ooh.
Go from here to here.
That's really dissonant.
But what makes it work, at least I think that's the reason for me why it works in this case, is that the C, which was the major 7 and D flat, stays within the melody, like it's played again over the A, and now it's the minor 3rd of the A minor. And that's a pivot note, which just means that 2 chords are mainly connected by having one note stay the same within the melody, and the chord just changes under it. And sometimes you can do pretty tonally jarring jumps by just having a strong note in the melody, and it stays a strong note in both cases, because it's like a very defining sound for the D major 7 chord, because it's the major 7, and then it's basically the defining note in the next one, with being the 3rd. That makes basically the chord what it is. So I think that's why this weird jump from here to here. That's what the bass notes would be.
What is this? This is like...
It's just a major 3rd.
Okay.
It just sounds weird because before we've all... The A minor is just not in the tonality we're moving around in before. We're in this, B minor, sometimes B major, this kind of realm, and then suddenly that one comes in. But yeah, making it work is that one. So yeah, that's a concept I just really like. I like pivot notes because you can just do weird stuff with it in a way. Just having it, and it also shows why it's, or it doesn't show necessarily, but it's one reason I think why it's possible to just reharmonize songs and melodies a lot.
Oh yeah.
Very different things. I mean, I don't know, for everyone like us and a lot of other people out there, stuff Adam Neely showed, for example, where there's like insane reharmonizations of stuff to the level of you can't even recognize the song anymore.
8-Bit did something really cool as well, I think, with Kakariko Village theme. We started off like reharmonizing really basic until it's like, okay, I think there's still a note left somewhere in there, I hear. This is so crazy.
Yeah, pretty much.
I really want to learn that.
Yeah, I mean, for me, like, the part of getting crazier usually is, okay, I can start with having a note and be like, okay, in the original harmony, this was like the 3rd. What happens if I make that note the 5th of a chord? And then it's like, okay, that's pretty basic. But when you start like, okay, but this could also be like the sharp 11 of something, or I don't know what. I think Adam Neely even went to more abstract things like the upper structure things and chords on chords.
Oh yeah, he did something like that, I think.
Which in the end, I was not even remotely able to follow what was happening harmonically. But often these kinds of things are often just held together by something like a pedal tone or something like that just goes through, and then there's crazy things happen over it. So much for pivot notes. I think that's something...
That's where we started, right?
Yeah. I think it's something that I'd have... from now on, I'm going to look out if there's more examples for this, especially in Uematsu stuff, because he sometimes has these kind of drifting away harmonic, or drifting away is a bit strong, but like going in directions you might not expect immediately. But usually just the melodies are so coherent and so well written.
And so strong by themselves.
So strong that it just connects the whole thing. And there can be weird stuff happening under it. And like, we also had in one episode, we talked about him having sometimes the minor seconds and these kind of tensions happening.
With the Albert theme.
Yeah. We are Albert.
Right. It was so cool. I've never heard that.
That kind of stuff, which, it's just a way of spicing things up without making it like too jarring for, let's say, average listeners or whatever you want to call it. But like people that are not as used to complex harmonies and weird stuff, I guess.
Yeah, totally.
I think that's a real strength of him, or basically any composer who does stuff like that, and something that I really just admire.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Just being able to have her cake and eat it too, in a way of, I'm having catchy melodies, something that most people can sing along, that's gonna get stuck in their head, but I'm still gonna do some little weird harmonies under it, and some spicy stuff, and all that kind of jazz. I think that's just a really, really nice quality to have, because it ensures on the one hand that, especially for video game music, because on the one hand your stuff is not going to be too crazy to be able to run in the background, be too distracting through that, but also it's not so much shopping mall music that it gets grating and annoying at some point, where you're just like, oh my god, I've heard that a million times. And it sounds like every other song I've ever heard before.
Yeah.
Like stock music, we talked about it today.
Yep. The soulless version of music.
Yeah. And that's just something...
Finally something to look forward with AI.
True. I might revolutionize stock music.
Probably will. Revolutionize stock music. That's a term I never thought I'm gonna hear in my life.
Me neither. I'm gonna stay 100% behind that theory now. I'm doubling down. It's a hill I'm gonna die on.
Sure. You do you. Alright. Any more notes on Calm Before the Storm?
I think these were the most important ones for me.
Notes.
Having the pivot one, and just the 3 different melodies that it uses, and the 3 different characteristics I think all 3 melodies bring to the song.
Oh yeah.
Something I really like, just the first one being the most gentle one, I think, while being in minor. Then having the second one be just a little more edgy, I guess, with the minor major chords and that sound. And then the third one being the brightest of them all by changing the whole sound to the B-flat major altogether. So I think it just adds a nice flow to the whole song. It also really helps, I think, because this is an area where at least I usually did quite some training and some grinding.
Yeah,
in the forest.
A little bit.
Just because it felt like one of the first areas where you have most of your guys together and it makes sense to level them up a bit.
True.
So I guess it's very nice that it's such a diverse while coherent piece.
That's also always gonna be distracted by the glass shatter sound of the battlefield.
Yeah. Of course.
But I mean, yeah.
But you still might do a lot of running around there. So having something that interesting but still flowing, I think fits very well.
I like that. And I have quite a new appreciation for this track now.
Yeah.
Because I need to re-listen to this with like the things you just taught me, basically.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, it definitely upped my appreciation of the song when I started to listen more intently, because before that, like when I scrolled through and was like, I don't know what to say about that one. It's like a song, I guess it does what it does. But there's some interesting things going on in there.
All right.
We learned something today. We saw, once again, how recontextualizing a melody with new rhythm and chords can give a totally new feel to a piece. Also, that chords on top of chords can simply make new, bigger chords, and that experienced jazz musicians can even play tonally outside of these already complex harmonies. And with the example of Calm Before the Storm, we talked about the importance of spicing up melodies to keep them interesting, as well as the difference the production can make for recording in general. But maybe this was just
Our
hubris talking.
In the next episode, we will arrive at the Temple of Kilika, where we will meet new rivals. Then, on the ship to Luca, we get further insights into the various relations and histories of our group, as well as Jack's legacy and his unique connection to Spira. Finally, we will set foot on the docks of the sprawling metropolis of Luca. So, thank you so much for watching.
And see you in the next one. Bye!